Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is not your typical Tuesday and it's Alcohol April. So we are going to actually look at something that I haven't played with very much, and it's called alcohol ink. This is a Jacquard product called Pinata, and it's basically uh, pigment mixed with alcohol, just like your inks would be. Now I have all sorts of metallic ones here, and there's several different ways that you can use this. I'm feeling a little bit better today, but please excuse the sniffles or, muting you because I'm going to go into a coughing fit, that sort of thing. But we're going to play with these today, and we're going to use a paintbrush, and we're going to paint the metallic parts of this picture, including the dragon scales, her outfit, different things that are metallic. But first, there's several different ways that you can use this. You can use this with just regular brushes, or you can mix it with rubbing alcohol into a bottle, into a spray bottle. Make sure it's a colored bottle so that your alcohol doesn't get all nasty. Give it a really good shake. Make sure that all the pigment is mixed around. Now I'm going to move this picture just in case I get overspray. And then you just hold it a ways away from your paper. And then you spray your paper. Now you can do this let it dry and then put it through. So as you can probably see, I've got a really good covering there, and you can see that it's got that gold ink, that gold shimmer. Now once I let this dry, all of the alcohol itself will evaporate, and all I'll have is that gold shimmer. And we may print on that. I'm going to put that aside. As you can see, it's all over my hand now. But we'll put this aside and we'll see about printing on top of it when it's dry. Keep a paper towel close by. Wipe off any excess. Like I said, it's messy. Now, if you have a glass top, you can also use that by putting your alcohol directly on the glass top and putting your paper on top and letting it absorb into it. I am going to use a brush today for this picture. So I've got 5 little things here, and we're just going to color with a brush. So this one is a clear with a pearl ink. So you take off the cap and you put it in the dish. So as you can see, it's just a white glitter in there. So I think we're going to do the underside of the dragon with it. And as you can see, you just fill your brush with it, lay it on there, and when it dries, it will be that white metallic pearl shine. Now, you're wondering if you can layer over it. So if I was to put this white down and let it dry, can I lay the gold or the copper over top of it? And we will find that out here in just a few seconds. Well, a few minutes, because it is going on pretty thick, so it's got to have a little bit of time to dry. Now use an old brush if you're going to use the brush technique with this. because the metallic fleck in the ink will damage your brush. So I'm using 2 or 3 different brushes that are a little bit older that I'm not concerned about being ruined. They're just really cheap little brushes that came with a set. Okay, I'm going to do the other side here. And this is a Selena Finesse picture. It's called Burn It Down. And I think our little dragon friend here has gone through and lit the city or the castle on fire here. Now, if you don't work quickly enough with this stuff, it does dry up really quickly because it is alcohol ink. So as you can probably tell, I'm starting to get to the bottom of the tray here, and it's starting to get a little goopy. So try to work quickly if you're going to use a paintbrush for this. Alright, so that is the white all finished there. Now I'm going to wipe the brush. You can use soap and water to get this stuff off. I don't have any soap and water right now because I didn't get any. So now we're going to use the copper. Again, there's a little ball in here that is mixing this all together. I have a clean dish and we're going to open this up. And we're going to see if we can add some small details with the copper to the wings that have the white. So I'm going to switch over to the close-up camera so you can see a little bit better. Hopefully. Because of the fact that we are working with a metallic shine, it's going to reflect quite a bit on the camera. So as you can see, you can go right over top. And add in that other color if you want to. Adding those details. You can also use a thinner brush to get those details a little bit finer. Also going to go into any areas that I missed with the white. Like so. And this is just alcohol ink. It's just not in a alcohol marker form, but it dries the same way and it gives you that really pretty metallic shine. All right, now we're going to go into scales. And I'm just going to do every other one with this copper. And then we'll come back through with a different metallic color for other ones. I apologize if I'm breathing heavily. Like I said, I've still got a bit of that cold. It's not as bad as it was yesterday, but it's still congested and yucky. Try not to go out of the lines, but it's really difficult with a brush, unless you have a really, really tiny brush, which I do, but alright. Then up here, like so. Now, if this dries on your palette, the best thing to do is grab a bit of rubbing alcohol, and you can re-wet it with some rubbing alcohol. So I'm just putting in some on his toes here, and I think we'll do his shoulders too. Like so. And it's starting to dry up a little bit, so it's getting a little thicker. Alright, so we're going to put that one away and wipe off the... And then we're going to grab another one, wipe it out, make sure it's clean. And then we're going to grab rich gold. So this is a bit of a darker brown gold. And we're going to do a couple of different things, and we're going to test a theory I haven't tested before, so we will see if it works. Trying very hard to be careful not to go out of the lines, but as you can see, I've gone out of the lines a couple of different places, like up in here. So what I want to test is whether or not, if I take a alcohol blender marker if I can erase it, which I can. So if you go out of the lines, you can take your blender pen and erase it a little bit, which is cool. Good to know. All right. So I'm going to go through and do some of his scales. And if you have a really small, detailed project, you can of course use a very fine liner brush and get some really, really pretty inlays. With this ink. And it's not something I use a whole lot. It's not something I use very often. I actually sometimes wish I had a bright gold paint and completely forget that I have these inks. That's how often I use them. Alright. Hopefully we'll get the scales done. I don't want to rub my hands on it too much while it's drying. And of course this is something that you can do beforehand or afterwards. You just have to be careful if you do it afterwards or beforehand, I mean, that you don't run over your inked areas with your pencil or your marker. Alright, I think that's it for the gold. I think I want this one here to be gold. Just going to make sure I get all the areas I want gold to be gold. Alright, and we'll put the gold aside. Wipe the pen. And then we're going to take our silver. Maybe. If our silver isn't plugged. Our silver might be plugged. So hold on. Let's see if I have a pin that's long enough to get in there. Okay, maybe we won't get through the silver. I need a really long pin, and I don't think I have one that's long enough. So as you can see, the silver is plugged. See, there's a gap there, and then the silver starts. So that tells me that I had it laying on its side, which you shouldn't do. So it must have gotten knocked over in the box. And if that happens, then your ink basically just sits in the top of your holder there and gets all mixed up and messy. So I'm going to take a paper clip here and I'm going to straighten it out, and hopefully it won't be too big of a size to poke down in there to mix it in. Okay, well that works. Basically, I've just now popped off the entire top, which we don't do, but it does give me the ability to clean it out a little bit. Alright, so we'll take the silver right out of the jar here. Let's see if we can put this back in. Making a big old mess of myself here. You guys probably can't see anything I'm doing. Alright, so as you can see, you can make a big mess of yourself. Just trying to get this thing going. It doesn't seem to want to. Does not seem to want to clear out. See if that helped. Nope. Alright. That's not helping. So we'll pop the top off. And we'll take our brush. We'll stir it up in there. Now, hopefully I won't make a big old mess, because there's a lot on my brush. And I'll go through and I'll fix the lid after. Basically, all you have to do to fix it is soak it in some rubbing alcohol, which will break down the pigment, and then rinse it with some soap and water. The lids, the little pour caps do come off these fairly easily, but not easy enough for it to pour out all over the place. Just don't do what I just did and lose the pour cap. So I'm just going through and filling in all the leftover areas. Of the dragon scales. That one should be gold. I have poured some into the dish because I need it for her stuff there too. But I'm going to have to use a different brush for that because it's really fine. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to take some of the gold and we're going to do that area there. Now I want to do her outfit here, but I need a really fine tool. So I think this one is even fine enough. No, this one's not even fine enough. So I need this one. Nope, that's a dot tool. That's not going to work. Where is my really fine brush? I think even this one's too thick. And you can get really fine brushes. Where this detail is fairly easy to work in. Just takes a bit of concentration. So as you can see, there's some layer of chainmail here and on her arms. That is what I'm working on putting in. So basically, with this alcohol ink that comes in a bottle, you can utilize it in several different ways. You can put it in a empty alcohol marker and with some rubbing alcohol and utilize it that way. You can also put it in a water brush and utilize it that way. If you're going to use it in this manner, have a quick hand, or you can add a little bit of rubbing alcohol if your ink dries too quickly. as it dries, it becomes quite thick. So that's why I'm getting the thicker lines here, because it's not as fluid as it was. Which is fine for larger areas such as his neck. But for the smaller areas, you want it to have more liquid. So I'm just going to do his underscales. And then we will call it a day because I don't want that one here to evaporate. Just going to put the lid on it for until I can get to cleaning out the other part. So I'm going to alternate this with the silver and the bronze that I have. Would help if I was actually in frame. Isn't that nice of me? Oy, 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 I'm telling you. I did do a COVID test and it is negative, so it is not COVID. It's just a cold. But still, it's annoying. Hopefully I feel better tomorrow. Because I don't want to be sniffling in you guys' ears tomorrow during a live stream. Of course, tomorrow is my birthday. And we will be doing a 50th birthday celebration because it's my 50th birthday and it's a big one. So hopefully you all can join me for that. What else has been going on? Of course, like I said, I haven't been feeling well, so yesterday I did miss Matters Monday, so I will be doing that next week. So we'll do 2 on Monday next week, just to keep caught up. I hate missing things, but sometimes you just got to, especially when you're not feeling well. Sometimes you just gotta take care of yourself, otherwise people yell at you. Like husbands. My husband doesn't yell at me, he just sits there going, well, you need to do this, and I wish I could help. He doesn't like it when I don't feel good. So I'm going through and I'm doing every second one in the silver. And I'm not too concerned about making it, absolutely pristine, because I will be going over it with a dry alcohol brush and just moving things around. After it dries. Okay, now that's her hand up to there. This dragon has a lot of underbelly. Now we could use this on our little dragon picture that we're working on tomorrow. If you guys want, I will leave it out, and maybe we'll use some of the bronzy colors and gold colors to do. I don't know if we'll use this silver because, like I said, I may have to put it into, we'll see. I have to fix the lid. Like I said, I'm not feeling good, so my brain's not working right. Alright, now the silver is all done. And we have one more color to go. I'm going to use this brush. I have a fine brush here. Those ones all need to be washed. We'll use this brush. And this one is called Brass. So I got all the metallics, as you can probably tell. And this one works at least. So my silver must be the only one that was knocked over in the drawer. Now another thing that you can use for this, in order to get a really fine line, if you needed to get a really fine line, is a dip pen. You can definitely use that as well, and it will give you a nice fine line. I didn't think about it till just now. I think I'm going to need to add more ink to the tray. I only put a little drop in here just in case it was all gummy, but it's not, so we will put some more. I'm going to mix it. So as you can see, it's very metallic. There is a lot of shine in these metallics, which is awesome. And as I said before, you can just put them in a little spritz bottle with a bit of rubbing alcohol, and you can just spray your page down. And we'll take a look at that page here in just a minute after I'm done with the dragon scales. And with the dragons, if we decide to use this tomorrow on the dragons, on our picture that we're working on, for the dragon queen or for her chair, we will use a smaller, probably use a dip pen that is smaller for those little tiny details. But I think we might use some of this for her chair and a few other details on her as well as the dragons. It is fun stuff to use, and it is very shiny. and it does work very, very well for those small details. And, just to make things very metallic. So I'm going to make sure I get into all the edges. I go around and do under here as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's good. This. The one thing that you do have to be careful of, like I said before, is use a brush that you're not overly fond of, because it will have some issues with the brush. Alright, so there we have it. And I'm going to switch over to the other camera so you can see it fully. Like I said, I'm not too concerned about the areas that aren't completely covered, because I'm going to go through with, I'm going to wash all these. I'm going to go through with a marker, and I'm going to take the alcohol marker and I'm just going to move it around into some of those areas, like so. Filling those areas in. Like that. So I'll show you in the close-up what I mean. So for example, this area here has a big old gap there. So we're just going to move that ink into that gap with the alcohol marker. And smooth it out. Just like that. Make sure you have your paper towel close so that you can wipe off any excess, so you're not dragging a color into another area. And if you do find that you need just a little bit more, just pick it up from your dish. Like so. And basically what we're doing is we're just moving it around with the alcohol that's in the marker. What I may have to do is I may have to grab my bullet nib blender marker and pull some of this in from the bullet nib, just because it's smaller areas, smaller details, and sometimes they need a little bit more accuracy. Like so. Alright, so that's why I'm not overly concerned on how much is not covered, because after a bit I will go over everything and make sure it's all covered. Let's switch it back over here. So there is our shiny dragon. He's got shiny. He's very shiny. And of course there is our metallic on our chainmail, and I will be finishing that as well after I clean the nozzle of my silver. But tomorrow we have these wonderful little dragons here, and I was thinking that I would use some of that gold on her hat, on her crown, as well as on the chair and her necklace. You know, we'll use some gold, or we'll use some brass, or yeah, gold or brass. One of those two colors on those areas. You know, we can also use some of the copper and the pearl on the dragons. So we will keep that out for tomorrow, and we'll see what we got. Alright guys, until then, this is using alcohol inks as a medium for Alcohol April to, basically paint or to create a background that you can print on. So as you can see, it is all dried off, and there's some big areas of metal shine, and then there's some smaller areas. And you can print right on top of this. Maybe. It does seem to lift off fairly easily. So be careful of that. But we'll see if you can print on top of it. You may have to seal it in first, but we'll test it. And I think you might have to seal it in first. So I might spray it with a seal first, because right now it's just sitting on the paper and it's just literally lifting right off. So I would definitely suggest putting down a sealer before you print on it. So a workable fixative is something that I would definitely spray it with before printing on it. Alright guys, so one failed experiment, one not so failed experiment. So far, so good. Until next time, thank you all very much for being here. And I do apologize once again for any sniffles and whatnot. I am feeling a little bit better today, and I will hopefully be feeling a lot better tomorrow. So I hope to see you all at my birthday bash tomorrow. Of course, remember to relax, color, and stay safe. I will leave a link for the Pinata products in the description below the video. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for being here. Always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until then, bye-bye for now.